Welcome to the Power 365 show. Today's guest, amazing. The changes that are happening in Microsoft, the way people are using things like Dynamics 365, the digital contact center. It's a new world. I'm so pleased that I staked my career in this technology over 18 years ago now. Sit with me now and listen to this great story and where Microsoft's going in this space. Today's guest is from Washington in the United States. She works for Microsoft as a Senior Director of Product Marketing. She's a storyteller, passionate advocate for team and products, a firm believer that bringing people and products together can change the world. Welcome to the show, Neha Bajwa.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we've just, of course, recently completed Ignite, and I saw you presenting there, which was fantastic. So we're going to unpack some of the things that you talked about there, but before we get underway, can you just give us some context of the 3 F's: family, food, and fun?
That's a really good question. So I am a mother of 2. Mm-hmm. I have 2 beautiful daughters, and 14-year-old and 11-year-old. Nice. And I sort of rate myself like I'm a mother in first and foremost, a team member, and then of course my team is my family and my husband. Mm-hmm. So that's family. I am an Indian by culture, and so I love Indian food. That's my comfort food. I go back to that. Nice. You know, when things are down, I sort of need a good curry, and good, rice and curry will do it for me. And fun. For fun, I have to tell you, Mark, I go back to my family, but more and more, I have actually always enjoyed work, because I don't see work as work. I see work as my passion, my calling, the work that I do, and so for me, that's fun.
I like it. Can you tell me a bit about your journey into tech and into Microsoft?
Oh, it's such a good question. I've been at Microsoft for 16 years now, and I got into Microsoft. Sometimes we kid around. I got into Microsoft through the back door, which basically means I came in through an acquisition. So right after my MBA, I'm an engineer at heart. Went to an engineering school, did my MBA, and after that, I really got swept, into a small company, security company. That's how I started in New York. And the first 5 years, everything I know about product marketing is from those gurus. They're still my mentors. And so I was the 50th employee then. We grew to a 500 company, best of breed security solution. Microsoft acquired us in the 5th year. And of course, then I joined the Microsoft force as a secure product marketing manager for security products. I don't know if some of your listeners probably know about Forefront, but that was our flagship product back then. Yeah. And with Forefront, I stayed with Forefront for a while. And then when Forefront, the strategy changed to integrate it into the workloads, I moved into client management and security, identity management and security. Then I moved into SQL. And so I became the product planner for SQL Data Warehouse, Advanced Analytics. And then, I went and I drove the business of SQL database in the US sub for 4 years, responsible for the revenue there. And then last 3.5 years I've spent in business applications, really focusing on partner strategy, and now, of course, product marketing and customer engagement.
Wow, what a journey. And I say you must have seen a lot of change in the last 3 years within the entire Microsoft Business Applications ecosystem.
Oh, it is a fascinating time, and it is an amazing place to be, because to your point about change, and I call myself a disruptor, and so this is the place to be. In the last 3.5 years, there is so much innovation and disruption that is going on from an engineering standpoint. And then, of course, as engineering has really innovated and continues to accelerate innovation, we've been spending a lot of time in how do we how do we take this to market in a new way, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of transformation on the partner side and helping and growing and evolving our partner ecosystem, the strategy, incentive programs. Our seller transformation has been really accelerated in the last couple of years. There's so much investment that Microsoft has made in the seller, in the sales community, in basically the sales teams itself, in the marketing side of things. So yeah, to your point, it's a fascinating place to be in, and we continue to transform and change the conversation.
So tell me a bit about collaborative apps. What does that mean to you? What's the focus around collaborative apps at the moment?
Such a good question. And here's the thing about collaborative apps. Your audience is probably, very, very steeped into business applications. Now, the thing about business applications is if you think about the seller, like the salesperson or the customer agent, the agent that is serving the customer, they are information workers just like you and I. And they don't want to switch applications. They have their favorite tools, productivity tools, and they don't want to switch. They want the data to be right there, so they don't have to like switch UIs. They don't have to go and find the data. They don't have to hunt for the data. And so increasingly what we are focused on is bringing data into the productive tools where our sellers are, our customer service agents are. And the beauty is because we have M365 or Office, we have Teams, which is increasingly now the communication hub, right, for organizations. And of course, Dynamics, the business applications, the data itself, surfacing that in the flow of their work. So they don't have to switch between their apps. They have the data in the right context of what they're trying to do, and they're able to help their customers or drive the business faster. So it all comes down to productivity or customer experience. But that's the genesis of collaborative apps.
And so what does this physically, how does this physically come together? Is it that you're in Microsoft Teams and then everything is in context of Teams when we look at, let's say, a Power App running, when we look at a Dynamics 365 first party app running, is it all, landscaped within that single pane of glass of Teams?
Absolutely. And so imagine like you're in Teams and you go to that search bar and you're trying to look up, right? You're talking to somebody, you're either the seller or the agent is talking to a customer in Teams, or they're collaborating between themselves, and they want to look up, let's say they're talking about a company foo. And so they want to look up everything about the company food. They go to the search, that person goes to the search bar, which is in Teams, and sort of searches for company food. And all the data that is related to company food sort of is surfaced to that seller. And so they're very quickly right from Teams themselves. And the data could have been coming from Dataverse, right? Could have been coming from the business application, like Dynamic Sales, but it's surfaced right in Teams. On the other side, like let's say they are in Dynamics for Sales, that's the app, and they're looking at this, they have the information, and now they want to call a team member or they want to chat with the team member right there within that single pane of glass. They don't have to leave that. They can contact the team member. They can do outbound dialing within from Dynamics, the experience itself. And so either way, and then you can also have adaptive cards, like we've sort of integrated adaptive cards right within Teams or vice versa within Dynamics. So very quickly you're able to get the next recommendation, the conversation insights, all of the data gets surfaced in the right context within the single pane of glass, whichever pane the seller or the agent chooses to be in.
Yeah. So in that context, what's a feedback particularly since Ignite, what's a feedback you're seeing, hearing around, I've seen a lot of positive stuff around, particularly the effect of Dynamics licensing, and how it's presenced in Teams. What else are you hearing?
That we are hearing that the positive messaging sorry, we're hearing the same positive messaging, right? Like now you don't need an additional team license. You don't need the team member license. It's all integrated to Teams. It's open. So we're basically, like, we're taking down friction. And the whole goal is, what we're hearing is, okay, Microsoft, collectively, Microsoft, looking at all of the assets, we're bringing all the assets to bear. We're sort of taking out our silos. We're reducing the friction, all about focusing on the customer and making that customer, or sorry, our customers, right, which are the organizations, much more productive, so that they can be empowered to do more with whatever they want to do with their customers, right? So that's what we are sort of starting to hear. And this is like, collaborative apps is the next frontier. Because in like the way CRM was, if you think about CRM, right, it's a system of record. And so you're trying to record this thing, but more and more, and we were looking at some research the other day, Mark, and it's interesting, like CRM has been around for so many years now, right? It's here, it's traditional. But the thing is, our sellers, and if you look at Microsoft, like, our sellers don't like to put something additional. It's more about an overhead. And the research that we were doing, increasingly we were being told that, yes, of course, they have CRM systems, but the usability of CRM systems is, the sellers see it as an overhead, like one another thing we have to do. And so if we can more and more, we can integrate and bring the data to the sellers in the productive tools that they use, whether it's Office, Teams, Outlook, then it becomes that much more easier for them to do their job.
Yeah. You know what I'm noticing is that, and I started in Dynamics, CRM, MS CRM back in 2003, so a long time ago. And what I'm noticing about, let's say, take Dynamics sales, marketing, service, etc. now, is that they're becoming far, as in the seller, let's say, has to enter a lot less information to get a lot more value back. So we're seeing kind of like data coming from maybe LinkedIn being presence in there. We can see that, if you've got a marketing campaign and digital assets are being clicked on, that data is now right there, available to the seller. So you can see if there's a target account you're going after, you can see who in that account's actually been engaging with our brand, who's showing interest in product A, B, or C. That type of thing was never there in the past. And so, they are becoming so much more, providing you a guide on how to engage with the customer, because you're seeing what's of interest to the customer.
And so Mark, you're now taking us into customer experience. And that was the second thing that we announced, and we talked about the Microsoft Customer Experience Platform.
Yeah.
Because exactly what you just hit on, right? What we are finding is that the conversation is about customer experience. How does sales, marketing, customer service, field service, every time an organization engages with a consumer, whether it's in B2B or B2C, it is geared towards customer experience. And the thing about customer experience, and it is an overused term, like people talk about customer experience so much, right? But the thing about customer experience, it all comes down to granular data. Because what we find is that in order to really achieve or stay true to customer experience, you have to have the data, which is right now in different silos. Like if today, like the thing is, you have data in sales app, in a Salesforce automation app, then you have data in the marketing app, then you have data in the customer service app, you have data in the field service app, and then you also have data in the advertising platforms. No wonder when you go in and you start doing a search on Facebook or Google on like a mattress, right? You suddenly are inundated with all of these advertisers, like hitting you with mattress ads. Now you might be searching for mattresses because you just were trying to complain about it, like you had this Tempur-Medic mattress and you're not happy with it, but suddenly you'll be inundated with advertising for mattresses when all you wanted to do is somebody from Tempur-Medic actually reach out to you, right? That is customer experience, right? Being able to break the silo down, look at all of the data, look at a collective view of the data such that you now know that, or the organization knows that Neha was looking or was not happy with the Tempur-Pedic, and I'm just using Tempur-Pedic as an example. I'm extremely happy with my Tempur-Pedic mattress, but essentially was just looking for a mattress, right? And so then somebody can contact me, I can talk to them, and they then know all the engagements that I've had. And organizations are looking for new ways to engage. And so it becomes so powerful that customer experience is breaking down sales, service, marketing, these silos, serving up the data in the right way so that you can drive the customer experience forward.
And I assume customers more than ever looking, particularly in COVID, right? We've seen some of the stats I've been reading recently is that customer loyalty has totally changed through COVID, as in people are going out, they're trying new brands, they're doing a lot more online, so they're searching more, and they're not just going with whoever their, let's say physical store person was. How important is for businesses to really nail this customer experience, in the modern world?
It is so important. To your point, I want to add a data stat here. We were doing, again, based on some research that was done, 83% of customers are researching about the next sale on their own before they talk to a seller. So 83% of the time, the organization is doing all of the research and making decisions and have sort of done all the data analysis before they engage with the seller. That is such a powerful stat, right? Because that basically means you've got to know how much that person who's been doing the research, right? Every touch point that they have had, every time they've engaged with the organization. Imagine if the seller, when they reached out to the seller or the seller talked to them, if they had all of this data on their touch point, then the seller could have a very consultative conversation, and it was not a cold call. It was literally, I have all of this information about you. You've engaged with my company by so much. You've downloaded this document, you've done this research, you've spoken to customer service, you've spoken to marketing. Now it's so much more powerful. Now it's a relationship. We're having a partnership conversation versus a cold call 101 conversation.
And it is so important. The amount of times I'm frustrated when I'm engaging with a brand or a business and they ask me something that I know they already know about me. Like they've collected this data in the past, and the frustration that creates, like, why do I need to repeat myself?
That's right. That is so right. And that goes into, and you see that frustration, like, why do I need to repeat myself? We find that so much in customer service, right?
Yeah.
When you call up customer service, and this whole omni-channel experience of customer service, but the most basic channel is voice. Well, what happens is you have sort of engaged with customer service and you've sort of chatted with them. So there's probably a chat bot and you're chatting with them. And the chat bot says very politely, I'm going to transfer you to a call agent because you need more help. Okay. So then you get transferred to a call agent. But then you end up having to repeat yourself because the call agent does not know what the communication you had with your chatbot, right? And so this is where the next frontier, like what we announced, is bringing together a contact center within customer service such that chatbot, like what you talk to the chatbot, is communicated to the voice channel. And the voice channel, whatever you're speaking to, is communicated to the service agent. So the service agent has all of this information about you. The other day, I have to share with you my experience. I forget whom I was talking to. I called up customer service of this particular brand. And I called them up and I said, this is what's going on. And they said, oh, they'll have to, and usually they ask you for your credit card number and some social security, some validation number. And then they passed me on to somebody else. And it was amazing where the other person basically repeated back everything I had told the first person. And all they were saying is, Here's what I know about you. Here's why you are engaging, like you called us up. Is that correct? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, thank you.
Mm.
Yes, now you are hearing me. And it's not like I'm talking to the second person. It's
Yeah.
internally they have spoken to each other, which is all only powered through some analytics or some system that has disconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. Now you've mentioned something here, the digital contact center, and I saw a bit of mention of this at Ignite. What is the digital contact center?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. This is the next frontier, I guess, of customer service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about traditionally, just like we were talking about collab apps, where systems
Mm-hmm.
were different, system of record and system of action, and then we talk about customer experience in customer service. Traditionally, the voice system has been different, telephony system, right? The way you
Yeah. Yeah.
communicate.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very
Mm-hmm.
different from a system of record, which is the customer service
Mm-hmm.
application. And the
Mm-hmm.
system of record has gone, of course, expanded into omni-channel. So being
Mm-hmm.
able to track and look, provide customer service through all different channels, right? Which is all like
Mm-hmm.
social media channels and messaging and text, all of that. But voice has always stayed separate. And so what we have announced is all-in-one digital contact center,
Mm-hmm.
which is first-party Microsoft, where we are
Yes.
now including voice within customer service based
Awesome.
on Azure Communication Service and
Mm-hmm.
based on Teams, which is also like which has the planet scale,
Yes.
the compute power. So we are able
Mm-hmm.
to support like enterprise grade telephony within
Mm-hmm.
customer service such that you don't have to have two different systems. Now, the beauty of this, like by bringing it together, you're
Mm-hmm.
now truly able to bring conversational intelligence into the customer service, right? Because as the voice, when a voice person, like when you're interacting with voice, you're able to
Mm-hmm.
transcribe, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
intelligence is able to transcribe in real time. It's able to
Mm-hmm.
add conversation intelligence, then
Mm-hmm.
provide the next best knowledge base article, do a search on automatically. It's all in that single pane of glass that the agent is
Mm-hmm.
working on. So all of the integration now, uh, you know, is all coming together again to provide better customer experience.
This is amazing, right? Because I feel like call centers, and I've been involved in a lot of them over my career, is something that nobody's really put their arms around. It's always been a whole bunch of disparate systems that have to be integrated, and it's never, if you like, the perfect mashup. And voice, of course, is always that critical element. As in, is it the plan with Microsoft to really take this as a Dynamics product, or is it as still a subset of Dynamics customer service sales, that type of thing? How do you see or envisage this digital contact center going to market? I know just within my sphere of influence, we've got customers that are highly interested in this digital contact center, but at the moment there's not enough information out there just yet.
Well, no, that's a really good point because we public previewed, we were in public preview some time ago, and we now have gone
Mm-mm.
general availability now. So it's out there now. We our whole goal is to add value to
Mm-hmm.
our customers, and so our
Yes.
customers first and foremost, particularly from a dynamic standpoint, is
Mm-hmm.
our customer service customers. And so
Excellent.
bringing voice to customer service is the first priority.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, we'll keep expanding on this. We'll keep adding more value to this particular area, and then
Mm-hmm.
we'll see how we continues to come together with Teams and ACS, because Teams with Contact Center, ACS, Azure Communication Service, and
Yes.
Dynamics, like all coming together to make that customer service agent the hero at the end of the day.
And does omni-channel then play into this story as well?
They come together, right? So for us,
Mm-hmm.
omni-channel now is true omni-channel, where
Yeah.
voice is part of omni-channel, right? Because if you think about omni-channel and the way our competitors speak about
Mm-hmm.
omni-channel,
Mm-hmm.
they speak about digital engagement channels as omni-channel, And then
Yeah,
there is
yeah.
voice. But if you look up the dictionary definition of omnichannel, it should be all channels, including voice.
Totally, totally. And so, is chat also considered part of this? Will the whole, Azure through SMS, SMS, etc., through Azure, all be part of that story?
Yes, all part of the same story. That's correct.
So I'd like to put in the show notes, where's the best place for people to get up to speed? They want to educate themselves on the digital contact center. Where should they go? What should they look at? Any recommendations? And we'll get the details from you afterwards and put them in the show notes, of course.
Yeah, there are two places I would go. One is, of course, dynamics.microsoft.com. All of the information is up there. It's on the website. There is also Docs library, right? MS Learn,
Yes.
Microsoft Learn, and the Docs library resources there. The addition thing is Ignite pages. Like, we made so much announcements at the Ignite, and all of the speaker sessions, particularly Jeff Comstock's session around all-in-one digital contact center, is an amazing place to sort of go look at his session. There are other sessions as well that we talked about, Collab App session, the Microsoft Customer Experience Platform. These Ignite sessions are available on demand, and your audience can go and listen in and see what this was all about.
Yeah, awesome. We'll put the links to those in the show notes. In closing, anything else you'd like to add?
I think, as I started off, I think I want to sort of orient your audience around is Microsoft is there's a lot of innovation coming from Microsoft in this business application space. It's just the beginning, right? From a product perspective, our focus is really collab first, right? So increasingly providing integration and bringing collaborative tools and dynamics together so that we can really make that life of the seller or the agent so much more better and productive. So they can be freed up to do more with their customers and provide customer experience. That's one area. Data first is a huge priority for us. We want to make these applications intelligent. And the way so you'll see a lot of innovation and continued innovation in that space. How do we make these applications not just system of records, but actually intelligent system of records? And so that there is a lot of data that is available to the organizations, but it is harnessed and it is put to good use, and intelligence is being able to be driven out of it.
Yeah, so important. Neha, this has been so interesting. I always like to wrap up with a few random questions. So this is not about Microsoft, but just about you, life, that type of thing. Okay, so you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. It's like people find this bit the scary bit because they are so random. If you could have one celebrity to be your best friend, who would you pick?
Oh my God. So I am, again, Indian by nature, right? And so for me, it would be Deepika Padukone. She is one of the Indian celebrities, and a huge fan of her. She's a badminton. She was one of the sports. She was a badminton player, and then she went into acting.
Nice. So cool. Okay, next question. What's one of your pet peeves?
Oh, this is a tough one. Pet peeves. Here's what gets me. When people don't draw lines outside the box.
Right.
Right? It's like a lot of the creativity comes from, sort of moving the box a little bit or seeing what the shape of the box could be. And when we get too boxed in, then it sort of irks me a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. Last question. What's the last thing you bought for under $50 that you love and use often?
Ooh, let me think. Under $50. Oh, my notebook, my journal is
nice.
I live and breathe by my journal.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. It's not digital, obviously.
No. I am an old school in that way. So I grew up where when you say something and then you write it down, it sticks better And so when I'm taking notes, yes, of course, I live in OneNote. I absolutely do. But a lot of times, I like, particularly for my personal growth, and I do a lot of, self reflection. And so I write down in this journal of mine, which I keep open. And so when I'm talking to people, I then refer back to these notes. It's so much more easier because, and then of course, it's memorized for me.
I like it. I like it. Neha, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. It was fun.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP, Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 guy. If there's a Microsoft guest you'd like to see on the show, please let me know. Reach out. Let me know. LinkedIn's the best way to get hold of me. If you like the show and you want to be a supporter, please go to buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 guy. Stay safe out there and see you next time.